Husky Game Prep is brought to you by Gate City Bank, proud supporter of your Huskies. Stop by and ask us about our low interest rates to finally buy that new snowmobile or ice house you've been waiting for. Contact any of our 43 locations across North Dakota and central Minnesota, and of course around the St. Cloud area. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Hello and welcome into Husky Game Prep. Sam Getzinger here with you, alongside of head coach of the men's hockey team, Brett Larson. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule in the pod and answering some questions here.
Thanks for having me.
And Coach, you're in the pod, and I know you made this clear at NCHC Media Day and a couple of press conferences beforehand. You had two goals before getting into the pod. You had to be prepared for it, but you had to get into it first. How was the trip down there?
Trip was great. Obviously, we tested the team before we left and had multiple tests when we got here. So once everybody got cleared, honestly, our team and then every team, as they went through the testing, it was a huge relief. The league has put in so much work. Josh Fenton's worked so hard at this thing, all the athletic directors, everybody involved, and man, was it great to finally get on the ice. So step one accomplished.
And of course, December 1st marked a historic day in college hockey history. You were able to get on the ice against Western Michigan for the first time in about 269 days. What was it like getting out there? No fans in the crowd. Was it a little different dynamic in Baxter Arena?
The only time you noticed it, to be honest, was during the opening lineup and the anthem a little bit. You know, you kind of looked around. You didn't have that quite the same buzz in the building, but man, once the puck dropped, both teams were playing so hard. There was so much pent up energy from all that time not being able to play, and so much excitement and nerves. And I think for all of us, just once that puck dropped, man, you didn't notice much. You were in a battle.
And there's a reason why Western Michigan and St. Cloud State are so close in the NCHC polls almost every year, at least for the past couple of years, because that was a very competitive game. Could have gone either way. What were some things you took away from the game against Western Michigan, the first game in the pod, that you liked?
Well, I wanted to gauge to see where our speed was at with our forward group. We need to be an attacking team. We need to be a team that plays down low behind the D and gets a lot of movement. I was happy with that part. I was happy with our compete. Western's a heavy, hard team that's really good on their sticks. I did feel that they outmanned us a little bit in some puck battles and some face-off situations that we're definitely going to have to get better at. But all in all, I liked our tempo and I liked our pace throughout the game. And, for our D, tough night to come in first night out of not playing for a long time. Western Michigan forechecks extremely hard. They're very detailed and well coached at it. And they made it tough on our D most of the night. Luckily, we were able to hang in there and find a way to get some pucks out. But learning how to handle that pressure again, that heavy pressure from forechecking teams like Western is going to be really important.
And speak a little bit on the part of David RINK in between the pipes last night. He looked very impressive at the beginning of the game, let in a couple of goals late in that second period, but I believe he rebounded pretty well in that third period. What did you like from his performance?
Well, obviously, first game for everybody, right? I think David was just like a lot of our guys. There were moments in the game where he looked like himself, and moments in the game where he's got to get better. And that goes for every guy on the team, every line. Every D pair, there were shifts that they were good. And there were shifts that you could see that they had some time off. So I think for David, we'll take what we liked and the things that he needs to clean up, and keep pushing him to get better. But at least we got that first game under our belt, and kind of, I think for a lot of us, got through those first nerves.
And first game under your belt for the whole team, but first game under their belt for a lot of collegiate players playing in their first game. Seamus Donahue, grad transfer, Jared Cockrell, first time in a Huskies uniform. They looked very good. Vietti Miettinen and Brady Zemer were also great. What did you like from their performance as newcomers?
Well, you're right on. They had a good first impression for sure. They Cockrell played hard with a lot of energy, and that's what we recruited him for. Donahue was a mobile puck transporter that moved pucks pretty well and was able to handle some pressure, and Brady Zemer brought that physical grittiness that we were hoping to have out of him, and yet it hit 2 posts early. He could have had a few, and you could see that release, and you could see also that they're realizing, wow, this is big boy hockey. This is playing against a great team, and nothing comes easy against Western. You really have to earn every opportunity. So I think they saw how good this league is, and again, just like David or any of our players, there were some good things and there were some things we need to clean up.
Yeah, most definitely. Now let's move ahead a little bit. Western Michigan in the past, you have to look ahead in the pod. That game against Colorado College on Thursday postponed due to COVID concerns. So now you have an extra day off. What do you guys plan to do on that extra day off leading into your Saturday game against Denver?
Well, obviously today you know how the NCAA rules work. You have to have one day off a week completely. No team meetings, no practices, nothing. So today we're using that actually to get our schoolwork done. Obviously, our guys are still in school. Finals haven't happened yet. They've got outside and got to walk in, doing some things to physically recover from last night. But take care of school today, and then we'll get back to practice tomorrow.
And Denver and Omaha this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, back-to-back games against two different teams. Usually that doesn't happen in a regular season. What are you looking forward to this weekend? What are some things you're going to work on?
Well, we're going to mostly focus on trying to clean up our areas and keep getting better, handling breakouts under pressure. I think our sustained forecheck, our ability to create second, third opportunities, and some face-off stuff that we have to clean up is going to be really important. So I think for most of the teams in the pod right now, it's going to be more of a focus on continuing to prepare and develop your team game by game.
Huskies with a big win against Western Michigan in Game 1 at the pod. Coach LARSON, thank you so much for joining us here on Husky Game Prep. You stay safe and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Huskies fans, reminder that Huskies Game Prep is brought to you by Gate City Bank, proud supporter of SCSU Athletics. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Welcome back into Husky Game Prep. Sam Getzinger along with you, and alongside of me, MICK HATTEN with therinklive.com. Mick, thanks you for taking some time out of your day and answering some questions with us.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on, Sam.
Yeah, no worries. And Mick, you're one of the lucky ones to be down in the pod in Omaha. How was your trip down there? Did you get down there safely? No issues?
Very safely. It was very good roads. Weather was really good, so that was nice because it's a long drive. If you haven't driven to Omaha, it's going to take some time. You got to go basically through most of the state of Iowa. So it's kind of long and dull, but it's good to be here.
Well, that's good. And you were there live in person watching Huskies take on Western Michigan. Was it a different feel to that game with no fans in Baxter Arena from someone who wasn't on the ice?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference when you don't have thousands of people at a venue. I mean, there's a very different vibe. I mean, Brad Schlossman, who I work with, mentioned that, maybe some of it, though, is that we're getting so used to seeing events without fans that it wasn't quite as startling maybe as it might be in some cases. But, the interesting thing, I think, is you can hear just about everything that goes on the ice, between the players and the coaches and, when they get really loud. I mean, obviously you can't hear some of the stuff, but you can hear sticks tapping on the ice and, and a lot of stuff that you typically wouldn't be able to. So that from that standpoint, pretty cool. For the national anthem, they have somebody that's that they've taped, and it kind of goes up on the big board. And but the introductions are similar to the way it would typically be, and there's some piped in crowd noise, throughout the game. So there is a little bit of atmosphere. I mean, there's some banners up, so I mean they kind of took some cues from the NHL with that.
I was going to say it's very similar to the NHL bubble, and I'd say the first night went on with success. I don't think there was really any issues. The UMD-UNO game went off just well, and the SCSU Bronco game went off well as well for that first day of the pod. Let's break down this game against the Broncos a little bit. What were some things you took away that you really liked from the Huskies?
A few things I guess that struck me was like early on in the game, I thought Western Michigan kind of came out and kind of took it to them a little bit in the early going. St. Cloud State was struggling a little bit to kind of break out of their own zone. And then, when Kevin Fitzgerald scored on an interesting play, I mean, St. Cloud State looks like they're going to try to go to a little bit more of a fast break offense when it's available to them. There was kind of a long stretch pass from Nick Perbix up to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald kind of went in on a breakaway and was able to score. And they had a couple of other opportunities during the course of that game to kind of break it up. And basically the idea on that from Brett LARSON last night was that, they thought that they got a little bit too stagnant with the way that they were breaking out last season, and they're trying to utilize their speed a little bit more. And when that's available, to kind of get behind people. Tough, it was a really good second period for St. Cloud State, I thought, until the last 2 minutes. They gave up 2 goals, and quite honestly, I mean, they just didn't pick some people up that they needed to pick up in their defensive zone, and ended up getting burned twice. And so you think, well, now you're down, right? I mean, they had played so well. Micah Miller put them up on a kind of a gritty goal to put them up 2-1. Then they give up those 2 late ones in the second. You go, well, we'll see how this goes going in the third. And they just stuck with it. I mean, they just, bared down, got a nice goal from Kyler Kupka, him kind of a hard work goal for his line. And then, they got a break, Nick Perbix with a good shot on goal on a rush. And then they, unfortunately for Josh Passel, he knocked it into his own net. But good win for St. Cloud State. Nice start for him. There's a lot of good things out of it.
Yeah, big win, much indeed. Now, let's talk about special teams a little bit. Last year, Western Michigan really took apart St. Cloud State on the power play. Last night, St. Cloud State goes to the sin bin 3 times and was able to do fairly well on the PK. What did you see from their special teams?
Yeah, they only gave up 6 shots on those 3 power plays, so I thought that was a good sign. I thought they were able to kind of stay in their box pretty well, and they were able to clear out things when they needed to. I thought David Rennick got good looks at the shots that they were able to get in on him. So that was a good sign. St. Cloud State's penalty kill in NCHC play was actually pretty good last season. So it was a good sign that they got off to a good start with that. And then they didn't get to play on the power play last night. So we haven't had our first.
Yeah, nobody in the pod has scored on the power play yet. I believe Nebraska, Omaha, and UMD, they were 0 on their power play attempts. And, of course, Western Michigan 0 as well. So hopefully the Huskies coming up on Saturday can maybe get the first power play goal up on the board. We'll see how that all goes. Speaking of Saturday, let's look into this weekend. They're taking on Denver on Saturday and Nebraska, Omaha on Sunday. What are some things you're looking forward to this week? Do you think we could see some changes in lines now that we've seen one game with the Huskies and a lot of newcomers down, or are things going to stay the same, you think?
I think they'll probably try to stay the same, at least for Saturday's game. When they have success, they have a tendency to kind of stick with a lot of the things that got them there. And they're coming off a win, and they scored 4 goals in that game. So I mean, those were good signs for St. Cloud State. I don't anticipate that. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball on that, but I would anticipate we're not going to see a ton of changes on Saturday. Now, Sunday might be a little bit different because they're going to be playing on back-to-back days, and it'll be the 3rd game of the week. So, I mean, you might see some lineup changes on that second day. But they're going to play a really tough Denver team. This is a Denver team that's ranked 4th in the nation, has a lot of key elements coming back. Magnus Krona, the goaltender's back. Bobby Brink up front with Cole Gutman. A couple of really talented guys. They have a lot of talent, and they've got some, I think it's 3 transfers coming in on the roster this season who are veteran guys. So, I mean, they're going to be a tall task. That's going to be a tough game. Nebraska, Omaha, I thought in the opener looked a lot better than they have in the last few seasons. I like their forecheck. I thought they played pretty well in their defensive zone until the 3rd period against Minnesota Duluth. They were able to kind of contain Minnesota Duluth's top guys, and that was a good sign for them. But so it'll be an interesting weekend for them. I think they're 2 different stylistic teams, and I think Nebraska Omaha is a little bit of a younger roster than Denver is, so it'll be interesting to see how St. Cloud State handles that.
And you touched on some key players for Denver and Nebraska, Omaha, but now that you've seen the Huskies with a game under their belt, who are some key players coming to this weekend for St. Cloud State?
Oh boy, I thought, Sam Hinches, I thought, was a guy that, yesterday I thought he looked pretty good. You know, and there were just a few things that were just a little bit off his stick. You know, I mean, he was one. He almost had. It felt like he almost had about 6 breakaways in that game, but you know, for whatever reason, you know, stick kind of, or, you know, puck came off his stick, or a pass just a little bit too far for him. But I thought he was utilizing his speed, and that's a good sign for St. Cloud State. Nick Perbix, I thought, was terrific. You know, in the opener, I thought he was a key player for them, and they need him to be. He's played a ton of minutes the last 2 seasons, and I thought he paired well with Seamus Donahue. And Seamus Donahue, in his debut, I thought it was you know, a real calming influence out there. You know, a guy that you know, handled the puck well, didn't get frazzled, played good defense, played physical. You know, there was a lot of good things. And Micah Miller was a guy that I thought was all over the ice on Tuesday. And they need Micah, you know, to play like that as regularly as possible. I mean, he's a key player for them. He had a good second half last season, and if they can keep him rolling, that's going to be a good thing for them offensively.
Yeah, most definitely. One more for you, Mick. We're going to transition away from men's hockey. I want to talk about SCSU women's hockey for a second. You were there last weekend when they took on Minnesota State Mankato, their first series of the year. Of course, Sonia Holda with a wonderful performance in both games, getting WCHA Freshman of the Week. Now, potentially, we could see Emma Paluzny in net for this series against Duluth, a very good Duluth team this weekend on the road. What are you expecting out of the Huskies this week, and what are some things you may expect out of Emma Paluzny making that transition?
Well, you know, one, you hope that Emma is feeling well, and you know, anytime you're out of practicing for that extended a period of time, you wonder about a little bit about the conditioning and how she's going to be able to bounce back. Maybe she won't. If she comes back and plays in that first game, I would doubt that she would play in the second game, just from a conditioning standpoint. But she's an awfully good goaltender. You know, has proven that over and over again. But you know, a whole lot looked terrific, you know, in the opener that I was at. And clearly she also played well in the second game. Really good positional goaltender. I thought she, you know, really tracked the puck extremely well. You know, somebody that moves well in the crease. I mean, their goaltending is really good. Now, the question with the women's team is, are they going to be able to generate enough offense? Can they get, now, some of the key people that they think are going to be good offensive players also were out in that series. You know, can they get them kind of going and get them into the lineup? But, you know, St. Cloud State, I thought, you know, looked a little bit better. I like the way they were breaking the puck out. I thought their defensemen were mobile and were moving the puck well. I thought there were a lot of good signs in that weekend. Now, this is a big, you know, this is a little tougher task here with Minnesota Duluth. Team ranked in the top 10, but you know, a team that for whatever reason, St. Cloud State always plays UMD tough, and so that'll be an interesting series this weekend.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Sonia Holda, Rookie of the Week, not Freshman of the Week. That's on my part in the WCHA. Should be fun to see whoever they put out on the ice for that, but I think that should be a good series. And again, both Huskies teams in action. You got the men's team against Denver and Nebraska Omaha this weekend, and then the women's team against Duluth. Mick, thank you so much for taking some time. Be sure to check out the Rink Live for all your college hockey news, and be safe, my friend.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being on.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Huskies fans, reminder that Huskies Game Prep is brought to you by Gate City Bank, proud supporter of SCSU Athletics. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hello and welcome back into Husky Game Prep. Sam Getzinger here with you. We're going to continue our conversation about the women's hockey team because joining us now is goaltender Emma Paluzny. Emma, thank you for taking some time and answering some questions about last week's performance against MSU Mankato, and we're going to talk about UMD as well.
Yeah, for sure. Great to be here.
Now, Emma, you weren't able to play in the first series of the year against MSU Mankato due to the NCAA COVID protocol. If I'm correct, you were negative at the time of the games. You just weren't able to play due to a quarantine period.
Yeah, correct. So basically the way it works is, after you do have a positive test, which I did earlier in November, you basically have a slow return to play. And that's just to make sure that you're completely healthy and cleared, ready to go once you are fully cleared by the medical staff. So I was healthy. I was skating earlier in the week, kind of just limited action. And then this week I've been full go all week. So it's pretty exciting.
Well, we're glad to hear that you're doing well and the rest of your team. There were about 5 other scratches in the MSU Mankato series. And what was cool to see is that you guys were there in attendance, of course, not on the bench, but you were behind the goal watching the game. What were some things you picked up from a fan perspective, something that you weren't quite used to?
Yeah, definitely not used to watching from the corner too often. It was fun to see the girls play though. You can really see just based on how tough they were playing in our own end in the defensive zone that they were really grinding and rewarded with the victory. Definitely not as much fun when you don't get to celebrate with them on the bench, but still a great time. And we were able to have some fun over on the sideline with all of the other COVID scratches.
And then filling in for you in that first series was a freshman out of Finland, Sani Ahola. And say she did phenomenal is an understatement. 37 saves in her first game, then again racking up over 30 in the second game. How much did you help her leading into this experience to get her first couple of starts? Were you there kind of hand in hand? Was she asking you a lot of questions? What was the process like on that?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, Sonny doesn't need much help. She's a competitor. She really is. She brings it every day in practice, and you can tell just in her work ethic, everything she does before and after practice that she's going to do big things for this team for years to come. I would say the only thing I really did leading up to it, I treated it like she was the starter all week because I knew I was not going to be playing. So I gave her that respect, in terms of getting the reps that she wanted and having practices that she wanted. And I told her about my experience as a freshman, my first game in college. And I told her that I let in the first two shots on goal in my first collegiate game. And then I joked with her, but we still won 3-2. So, you can't do much worse than that. And lo and behold, she goes and gets a shutout in her first game in college. So it was just like awesome to see, I see that her work that she's been putting in so far this fall paid off for her. And she got a shutout, first win and first collegiate game.
Yeah, it was really great to see. She came out as the WCHA Rookie of the Week after her performance in that first series against Mankato. And I want to get your thoughts on Allie Cornelius. She got her first career goal in that first game. What was it like to see her put one in the back of the net after how long she's been here and part of this program?
Yeah, I mean, we always want to see people get their first goal, but I think it's pretty special to see Allie. She redshirted for a year, so she's been grinding for the team for a very long time, and not getting the reward in the form of a stat sheet with her name on it. But I've stayed summers past with her and seen her work out, and to see her score and her little celebration there, I know everybody was pretty fired up about that, and she's probably one of the people on the team that we can be happiest for getting that first one, getting the monkey off the back.
Yeah, most definitely. So that series is in the past, the first series of the year.
Mhm.
Now you're going to go up to Duluth this weekend, take on one of the top teams in the country in the Bulldogs. They did take on Mankato in their first series of the year, and it was a rather handedly series sweep for them. What are some things you guys have been focusing on practice to kind of get ready for the Bulldogs this weekend on the road?
Yeah, so obviously Duluth is a skilled team. We're going to expect them to bring it here this weekend. And I think, in general for us, we played a pretty good defensive zone, blocked a ton of shots. And that was something that we were really proud of in terms of our effort against Mankato, but just trying to clean up a few things in the defensive zone to kind of, push the pace a little bit and get into the offensive zone a little bit more in terms of breakouts and cleaning up a couple things on that power play, penalty kill, stuff like that. But I think what it's going to come down to is the competition level. And I think that, we've had a good week of practice. Coaches have been getting on us about a couple things, but in general, I think we're going to be ready to go come weekend time.
And now, of course, you're healthy. So I don't know if you've heard some insight. Are you going to be getting most of the time in between the pipes, or is it going to be split between you and Sani?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I mean, I'm healthy and ready to go. And if my name's called, I'll be ready to step up and have some fun, stop a couple pucks. But at this point, we don't know yet. But I know, whoever they go with, whatever lineup they pick, I think that we've got some competitors that are ready to go this weekend.
Definitely. Whoever they decide to put out there, I think is going to have a good chance against the Bulldogs this weekend. Emma, thank you so much for taking some time, answering some questions, and best of luck to you this weekend against UMD. Congratulations on being a part of the first win of the year as well. So that'll wrap up Husky Game Prep. Want to remind you, you have men's hockey, Denver on Saturday, Omaha on Sunday, and then women's hockey Friday and Saturday as well, taking on the University of Minnesota Duluth. For myself, big thank you to all of our guests who joined us on this episode. We'll be back again next week.